So there's a common saying amongst university students, and that is, what the hell am I going to do with my life? And since I graduated back in June, I've had plenty of time to reflect on that statement and my entire experiences for the past 4 years. And what dawned to me was that university is one of the most interesting settings in a person's life. Think about it for a second. It's this transitional period that marks the gradual change from our teenagehood to our adulthood. And with it, we're imposed a lot of baggage. We have our family's expectations to fulfill, we have tuition fees to pay, degrees to choose, bigger responsibilities. And keep in mind, this happens at a time when we're in our 20s and we're just starting to face the consequences of our actions independently and begin making important life decisions regarding our career, our relationships, our personal goals, all of which are going to shape the way that our entire futures are going to unfold. No pressure, folks. And it seems very stressful when I frame it that way, but I can guarantee you that it doesn't have to be. Because if you do it right, university can be one of your most fulfilling and formative journeys. And I'm going to share with you today 3 things that you should do before you graduate to make the most out of this time today. The first thing I'm going to share is be involved in an extracurricular activity. Pretty obvious, but if you want to make friends, meet like-minded people, develop a hobby, or discover new interests, what a better place to do that than be involved in clubs and societies. The good thing about Stirling, there's plenty of them to choose from. 82 societies and 55 sports clubs to this date. I checked. That's a whole lot of choice. And within that, you're very likely to find at least one activity or one group of people with whom you connect with. But notice I said be involved. Don't just hang out in your society. Become an active member. Maybe even try to become a committee member. Because by doing so, you'll not only get to increase your socialization opportunities, you'll also get to learn essential skills that you won't learn from a textbook, like how to run a Give It a Go event, or how to manage an Instagram page and promote the club to the students, or how to collaborate with your teammates within a society. For me, in my 3rd year, I wanted to get out of my comfort zone and, for the first time in my life, be a part of a sports team. But I didn't want to do like everyone else and follow a typical path of playing football or basketball. I went with the least known sport in Stirling, perhaps even in the entire world: underwater hockey. It's as crazy as it sounds. You play hockey at the bottom of a pool. And what initially started as this super bizarre sport I'm going to try once and never do again was actually a weekly activity I was taking a part in. And before I knew it, I met some lovely folks. I learned how to snorkel, almost passed out a few times. I became a committee member, took part in multiple competitions, which made me travel around Scotland and discover this beautiful country. And we even won a 3rd place medal at the Student Nationals last year. And all of this is to say that what initially started out as another typical extracurricular activity became so much more than that, just because I became an active member. Notice here how I emphasize the social aspects of these clubs and societies, and that brings me to my second point, which is make 3 meaningful relationships. 3 people who you know you're going to be in touch with after you graduate, and potentially even further than that. Because the thing about university is that there's an emphasis on independence. You're cooking your own food, paying your own bills. Classes are also much less frequent than before. And so you're interacting with people less often as you would in high school, for instance. And because of this, it's very easy to have that feeling of loneliness and isolation that develops. Especially with the pandemic, I think that many of us have had a hard time getting our social skills back up and running. Which is why it's so important for us to take the initiative to meet more people and find those with whom you're going to build sincere bonds with. I'm not talking about mere classmates or acquaintances here, but actual friendships, partners, people who you can rely on, who can support you, and who can make you laugh, and who you can offer the same to. You don't need 100 of them. Let's face it, you probably won't make 100 of them in your entire lifetime. Just a couple. But these people are going to enrich your experience here at Stirling. And for me, I have these 3 people in mind, and they're scattered in Rome, Leeds, somewhere else in Scotland. But despite the physical distance that separates us, I know that I have with them an incredibly valuable friendship that will last me a lifetime. And that long-term mindset is the sort of mentality that you should be striving for here, because it's going to influence your relationships as well as your career moving forwards. That brings me to my 3rd point, which is start laying the foundations of your future career now. There's 2 sides to this. You might already have a very clear-cut idea of what you want to do after you graduate, or you might have no clue whatsoever. But in either case, university is a great period in your life to be figuring it out. Because here, you have access to incredibly vast amounts of resources, of support, of career counseling, everything that you need to actually start building an action plan to plan that future path of yours, wherever it might lead. It can be further studies, graduate schemes, internships, a year off, whatever it is. That first step is going to be to figure out what you actually want to do. It doesn't have to be a certainty, of course. Having just a general sense of the path you might want to follow is just enough. But that's going to give you a real advantage. There's a saying, if you don't know what you want, you're going to end up with a lot of things you don't want. So give it a thought. Are your current studies right for you? Is the field you're going to work in something that is going to fulfill you and something you're going to be good at? The other side of this is to equip yourself with the best tools possible to become an employable graduate. And in order to truly capitalize on the value of your degree, you're paying for these studies, for heaven's sake. Get a bang for your buck. Glow up your CV. Learn how to write a cover letter. Get in touch with career services if you need help with that. The idea here is really to just build up that knowledge of employability and start also working on that work experience. In my opinion, having the most diverse jobs at university is the best approach to do it, because that diversity in experiences is going to teach you a lot about work, is going to teach you a lot about what you want and what you don't want. For me, in the past 4 years, I worked anything from an usher in this very cinema, a student ambassador, a salesman in an olive oil shop, a cleaner in a hotel, a faculty officer, a videographer, a welcome assistant, and an intern in the enterprise program. And that last job actually really honed my public speaking skills, and without which I probably wouldn't be able to deliver today's speech. So, following these 3 tips, I can guarantee you that you'll look back at your time in university knowing that this was one of the most transformative periods of your life. And when you finally graduate and you grasp that diploma in your hand, you'll think to yourself, well, what the hell am I going to do now? But that story is for another time. Thank you very much.